Hi, kids. We're back, and we're going to keep on talking about waves. And the first thing we're going to look at today is called wave interference. That's an F, okay? And what we want to look at is what waves do when they are at the same place and at the same time. What happens to that situation? What does it look like? Waves being at the same place and at the same time. Well, one of the things we do have to realize is that waves can pass through each other. If that was not true, you'd only have one TV station because that would be the only signal, the only TV wave that could be broadcast. If there were other TV waves, they would bounce off each other if they didn't pass through each other. If waves didn't pass through each other, only one person could use a cell phone, right? Only one cell phone wave would work. Other waves from another cell phone would bounce off each other, wouldn't get to the cell tower. Waves have to pass through each other. If waves didn't pass through each other, you could never have a rock band or an orchestra. You could only ever hear one instrument at a time because if those instruments were creating sound and they were trying to reach your ear, if they didn't pass through each other, they'd be bouncing off each other, going in a variety of different directions. But they pass through each other. They can be at the same place at the same time and enter your ear. So you can hear an orchestra or a variety of different instruments. Maybe when you're in a crowded room full of people and a whole bunch of different conversations are happening, you can kind of get a sense of all the different conversations because waves pass through each other. That's the beauty of a wave. Unlike particles, right? Imagine if we were in a room and we were talking with each other, and the only way we could talk to each other is by throwing little containers of messages. Maybe a little ball, hollow ball with a piece of paper in it. If I wanted to talk to you, I'd have to throw a ball to you and you'd have to catch it. And at the same time, a whole bunch of other people are trying to have the same conversation. Well, the balls, if people are trying to have a conversation at the same time, there's a chance they would bounce into each other and not get to the intended recipient. You couldn't have a conversation if that's the way we created, if that's the way we communicated. But we don't communicate that way. We communicate through waves, and waves can pass through each other. You can have more than one person talking at the same time, and you'll hear both of them. That wouldn't happen if we communicated through particles. So let's continue. When waves occupy the same place at the same time, their amplitudes add together. And this is called the principle of superposition. So here's an example. Let's say you got a triangular wave moving on some spring or a string, what have you, and you got a rectangular wave moving towards each other, and then at some point they reach the same place at the same time. Well, what did we say that happens to their amplitudes? Their amplitudes add. So I take that shape and I add it. Now, since both of them were above the line, we would call that a super crest. Since they're adding together, it's constructive interference. They're adding together. So this crest plus that crest gives you a super crest. If you had underneath, they wouldn't be crests. If it was below the rest position, you'd have a trough and another trough get together and you would get a super trough. What about if this rectangular crest meets a rectangular trough, so positive and negative amplitudes? Well, if you could imagine them being at the same place at the same time, their amplitudes would add, but it's like adding positive numbers and negative numbers, you end up with zero. And this is called a node or a null. And it's destructive interference since the net result is no amplitude. So I'm now going to show you a simulation of this, and I'll put the link up so you can play around with it and see all the details of it. So let's go to that simulation. Okay, so here's the simulation, and here's a crest, and here's another crest. So this is a red crest and a blue crest. Here, see the different colors. and they're moving towards each other. Let's see if we can have them move towards each other in this same material. Maybe it's a spring or a string or something. Here we go. See that? They're moving towards each other. Now I'm going to slow down the animation so we can really see what's happening. Take a look at this. Okay, so here is still the individual red crest and the individual blue crest. And what happens is this part of the red and this part of the blue, they add together to make up what's happening in its entirety to the material. So we're going to run it. I'm going to slow down the animation actually, really slow, and we'll run it. Okay. So their peaks are approaching each other there. You see that? Their peaks are approaching each other and bingo. That's where, well, pretty close. That's where they're both at the same place in the material, in the spring, at the same time. So the red crest and the blue crest add together. So what would you see? You would see this. You would see a supercrest. And what's really kind of neat is that nothing happens to them afterwards. They just pass right through each other. Done. As if nothing happened. And keep on going. And just to prove a point to you, it works for a trough too. See? It doesn't have to be a crest. It can work for a trough. The red trough and the blue trough will get together and you will get a, let me see if I can pause it. It's like a video game. Boop. Oh, almost. Let's really slow it down so I can do this for you. Do do do. And when both troughs are right over each other, ooh, I was pretty close on that one. You get a super trough right there. Okay. So what we have here is an example of constructive interference. The two crests get together and create a supercrest. That's what's happening here. Constructive interference. Or let's do it the other way. Okay, -2, or that's close enough. And -2. And the two troughs get together and you get a super trough. So they are both examples of constructive interference when we're talking about waves interfering, being at the same place at the same time in a material. So once again here we have destructive interference. The particles move through each other. I'm going to really slow this down. The waves are moving through each other, I should say. And when they're at the same place at the same time, the amplitude of the blue trough and the amplitude of the red crest, they're interfering with each other. Look what you actually would end up seeing. All right, that's the actual material. You don't see the red and the blue. You see the black. That's the actual material. All right, and I missed it by a little bit, but let's run through it again. I'll try to pause it so you can really see it. Destructive interference. Let's really go slow now. You can see the red and the blue are canceling out there. All right, see, look at the amplitude there. It's 0. That's because the red and the blue are doing destructive interference. They're canceling. And when they're right over each other, you get no amplitude. That's what you would see. And then they would continue through each other as if nothing happened. See? Just pass right through each other and go on about their business. There you have it. Now, up to speed, it's tough to see when it's this fast. But if you pay attention, you can see that for an instant right in the middle, boom, destructive interference. Boom, node, null. Okay, that's what you would see. Okay, and the second topic for today and the last topic for today is called resonance frequency. And I'm going to show you two videos. I've got two videos you can watch that I'm going to include in today's announcement. But it's all about the idea that all objects have a natural or resonance frequency where they vibrate with largest amplitudes, big amplitudes. So many small input forces, so just little nudges at just the right time. So many small input forces on an object at the resonance frequency will lead eventually to very large amplitudes. Now, you may have experienced this as a child. So a child is on a swing with a pusher. And if you start to push the child at just the right time, every single time you push them at just the right time. So what you're saying is your pushing frequency has to match the frequency of the swing, which is just a pendulum. If you've got that matched up before you know it, maybe you're babysitting your little brother or a cousin or a friend or something, they start swinging really high. That's saying they have large amplitudes. The other really famous thing about amp resonance frequency is there are people out there that can break crystal glasses just by singing in front of them and getting their voice's frequency to match the frequency of the glass. So you can have a singer singing a note, a certain frequency, and it has to match the frequency of the glass. And you'll see in the video I've prepared or downloaded for you, you'll see the glass breaks because the glass starts to go through huge amplitudes, just like the child on a swing. But the glass is fragile. If you get it to move too much or swing too much, it'll break. All right, so we're going to watch those videos. I'm going to give you some reading to do and some questions. And if you have any questions about it, please let me know. Okay, so two topics today. I hope you guys are having a great day. Bye bye. Just